If Messiah came down to earth to save mankind, it's a different story with Nasser Al-Khelaifi, who came to Europe. Instead of being a savior, Al-Khelaifi is like a prototype of the Dajjal who turned football from a pure sport into a business. As a conglomerate, there is no problem if he invests in PSG and wants to turn football into a business. But what Nasser Al-Khelaifi is doing is not only planting the land with tree seedlings that will later bear money, but also forcibly seizing the land for himself. Nasser turned football into a field to sow practices of corruption, nepotism, and even thuggery. Just like other rent-seekers around the world, Nasser always escaped the law, despite being attacked by various charges. It all started in 2011. Nasser Al-Khelaifi saw a sheep in pain called PSG. Fortunately, Nasser is familiar with the Emir of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, manager of the Qatar Investment Authority, a company that manages state finances in the investment sector. QIA has a subsidiary called Qatar Sport Investment. As the name implies, you must know what the company is engaged in. Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani holds 70% of QSI's shares. However, managing a subsidiary is not the style of a conglomerate. Tamim handed over the management of QSY to Nasser Al-Khelaifi, who is none other than his own friend. That's how the 51-year-old, who will turn 51 in November 2024, acquired Paris Saint-Germain. The club from the city of Paris instantly became one of the wealthiest clubs in Europe. Nasser not only made PSG a business park, but also a political vehicle. From there, Nasser was not only able to become a leader at the Asian level, but also in Europe. Evidently, after acquiring PSG, Nasser's career skyrocketed. In 2008, he became president of the Qatar Tennis Federation. 2011 rose to become vice president of the Asian Tennis Federation for West Asia. In Europe, Nasser turned PSG into a sports franchise. Not only did he take control of the football field, but also the PSG Handball Club, which he did in 2012. Is it done? Unfortunately, the greed and ambition of a human being will never stop. On 31st December 2013, Al Jazeera Sport parted ways with the Al Jazeera Media Network. Those of you who follow the news of the genocide in Palestine will know this media. After the split, Al Jazeera Sport changed its name to Bein Sports. A few months later, Bein Media Group was founded. Bein Sports became part of it. Who is behind it? Yes, Nasser Al-Khelaifi. Bein Sports now has 22 channels around the world. No doubt that Bein Sports is now a big player in the sports broadcasting scene. That's on the business front. On the political scene, Nasser is getting more and more desperate. In 2013, he was appointed as one of the ministers in the Qatar government by Sheikh Tamim. Yes, this is the same Tamim who gave Nasser QSY. Not only that, after acquiring PSG, the door to the European elite opened for Nasser. He entered that door and met Alexander Ceferin, the president of UEFA. For someone like Nasser, it's not difficult to get close to the UEFA president. Through his company, Nasser just needed to inject hundreds of millions of dollars into the Champions League, one of UEFA's club competitions. In an instant, Nasser and Ceferin became childhood friends. Like a woman who has had her heart stolen, Ceferin will devote everything to Nasser. The former Qatari tennis player easily became a member of UEFA's executive committee. Nasser was even trusted to be on the organizing committee of the Club World Cup as a representative of UEFA. During his time as a member of UEFA's executive committee, Nasser's maneuvers grew wilder. After Andrea Agnelli decided to step down as president of the European Club Association due to his role in the European Super League, without a second thought, UEFA appointed Nasser Al-Khelaifi as his successor. As the expression, "power is opium," goes, After taking over as president of the European Club Association in 2021, Nasser's libido for power was on the rise. Armed with his nepotism and the rhetorical skills he probably learned from Aristotle, last September 2023, Nasser was unanimously re-elected as president of the European Club Association. Nasser's appointment as ECA president in 2021 was closer to nepotism. Before taking the mandate, Nasser actually had a black record. In 2017, Nasser Al-Khelaifi was dragged into a bribery case, which later people knew the case as FIFA-gate. The story goes that Nasser approached then FIFA Secretary General Jerome Valcke, offering him a villa whose price is estimated at 7.2 million euros. The Swiss prosecutor's office charged Nasser with inciting Valcke to award the 2026 and 2030 World Cup broadcasting rights to beIN Sports. According to a report by L'Equipe, Valcke must also face a summons from the Swiss court. If the charges are granted by the judge, then Valcke will be behind bars for 35 months, while Nasser is threatened with 28 months in prison. Did Nasser end up in jail? Unfortunately, even Nasser failed to be dragged to court after 3 years of investigation. Yes, 3 years. FIFA actually reached an amicable agreement with the PSG owner. Yes, peace. The prosecutor also dropped all criminal charges against Nasser Al-Khelaifi. The charges against Nasser Al-Khelaifi haven't stopped. A few months before he was reappointed as ECA president in September 2023, Nasser stumbled upon a kidnapping and torture case. Yes, kidnapping and torture. In March 2023, French media outlet L'Equipe reported that Nasser Al-Khelaifi was under investigation for the alleged kidnapping and torture of French-Algerian businessman Tayeb Ben Abderrahmane in Qatar. According to Tayeb's lawyer, the French-Algerian businessman was held in a prison in Qatar in January 2020. During his imprisonment in Qatar, Tayeb was severely tortured. After being tortured in prison, Tayeb was released, but he was placed under house arrest before finally being allowed to leave Qatar in November 2020. That was after Tayeb signed a secret agreement stating that he would not leak sensitive documents about the PSG president. Quoting Morocco World News, the documents in question are allegedly related to the awarding of the 2022 World Cup hosting rights to Qatar and exclusive broadcasting rights to beIN Sports. Nasser, of course, argues. He argued that he was not involved in the kidnapping case in question. However, Paris has appointed 3 judges at once to investigate the allegations. Is Nasser finally guilty? No decision will be made until he is re-elected as ECA president. Whether or not he was involved in the case, Nasser had shown his thuggish attitude long before. After his team lost to Real Madrid in the 2021/22 Champions League season, he came down from the VIP stand to hit the referee for not giving a foul for what Karim Benzema did to Donnarumma. He also invaded Real Madrid's dressing room. Angry, he hurled insults and threats at Los Galacticos staff. One of his threats took the life of one of the Real Madrid staff. That behavior clearly breached Article 11 of the EU Disciplinary Code on basic principles of behavior. But what? Yes, that's right, Nasser Al-Khelaifi escaped punishment again. At least as of the writing of this video, he has not been penalized for his behavior towards the Real Madrid staff. Nasser's arbitrariness and big-hearted behavior has led many European clubs to start rebelling against UEFA. The European Super League, with Real Madrid at the helm, was just one of them. But bigger than that, European clubs formed an independent body outside UEFA, the Union of European Clubs, UEC. This organization was established for a fairer, more balanced and sustainable football ecosystem. Brentford, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa and Brighton also rebelled. Shakhtar Donetsk are also fed up with Nasser's football. Nasser himself, he caught fire. Hearing of the UEC, he banned all European clubs from joining the organization. In 2024, Nasser was at it again. The PSG president had plans to buy the Parc des Princes, PSG's headquarters, from the Paris city government. However, the plan was opposed by the Parisian side. There were no negotiations. Instead, arguments were exchanged in the media. Nasser argued that the Parisians did not want to sell Parc des Princes to the Qataris. He considered Paris officials to have committed acts of racism. This was later refuted by the deputy mayor of Paris, David Belliard. "Calling me a racist is tantamount to defamation," Belliard was quoted as saying by Politico. It is not impossible that if this problem is still protracted, Nasser Al-Khelaifi will be reported for alleged defamation. However, that's not a problem for him. FIFA alone he conquered, let alone just the city of Paris.